Imagine you're no longer a Minecraft player, but an archaeologist who has just uncovered the most significant discovery in Minecraft history: an ancient city. The story that we're about to learn is far beyond what we could have expected. By splitting the overarching ancient city site into individual units, where each structure functions as its own excavation zone, we can follow a standardized process: observation, record findings, analysis, interpretation, and questioning everything, including myself. I did a quick sketch of the city I'll be studying and labeled passages, districts, and units. I also created a banner key to make interpretation easier. We're also operating under one core assumption: that all items found within a structure originate from that structure and are stored in chests purely for containment and to prevent despawning. If I brushed past something, or if you have alternative interpretations, please let me know. I want to broaden my horizons. We'll begin with the smaller structures and work our way up. The green banner represents small ruins or foundations of old structures. They are the remnants of what used to be. Unfortunately, foundations alone don't give us enough data to draw any conclusions. There is noticeably less skulk on this side of the city. We know that skulk feeds on souls or experience points, so perhaps nobody died here. The skulk couldn't expand with nothing to consume. This raises a larger question. Did skulk play a role in the downfall of this city? I mean this referring to the skulk veins, and skulk catalysts, not the shriekers that summon the wardens. If skulk destroyed the city, we would expect the most damaged areas to have the highest concentration, but that's not what we see here. The south side is heavily destroyed, but lacks skulk. I propose something different. The city was destroyed by a separate catastrophe. Skulk behaves similarly to fungus and grows after absorbing organic energy, in this case, souls. This explains why the caves leading to the city are saturated with it. They must have served as a last-minute evacuation route with citizens trying to escape. Emphasis on trying, because the amount of skulk tells us they did not make it. Though, perhaps a few managed to flee safely. The blue banner represents small structures that are perhaps residential and contain chests. I don't believe that everything in the city is meant to be grand or warden or skulk related, despite initial impressions. People lived here, they had to have somewhere to sleep and store their items. That is why I think these smaller buildings served a residential purpose. Now, please bear with me as I list off the artifacts found within this structure type. Bones, 2 13 music discs, the other side music disc, candles, bottles of enchanting, amethyst shards, echo shards, compasses, glowberries, the ward armor trim, skulk sensors, skulk catalysts, potions of regeneration, leads, armor pieces with various enchantments, books, coal, enchantment books such as Mending or Swift Sneak, diamond hose with expensive enchantments, name tags, leather, diamond horse armor, and disc fragments. Disc fragmentation relates to a concept called ritual destruction or a termination ritual. A culture takes something with ceremonial value and breaks it. For example, we have the German Polterabend, where they smash pottery for luck. In Mayan history, they would break ceramic vessels to release the soul of the vase during a human sacrifice ritual. In the case of the Mayans, it was for their gods. These ceremonies took place in caves, which were seen as entrances to the underworld, but also the origin point for water. For instance, if a priest declared that the rains would last for another 3 weeks and they were wrong, they would be sacrificed. In terms of this ancient city, perhaps these disc fragments were broken as a sort of reverence to a deity. However, taking into account the guardian of the city, it's more probable that the ancients attempted to destroy these discs after learning how the warden targets its victims. It's very curious that we would find bones in what we suppose to be a residential structure. In some cultures, people would bury their family members under their floorboards to retain a close physical connection with their ancestors. The sign banner represents the small altar or statue structures. We only have 3 of them, and it's a sculpture of the warden's head with candles on one side, a typical offering or a statue of honor. Remember, we aren't thinking about this from the perspective of knowing Minecraft's structure generation patterns or its chronological updates. Taking this into account, I find it interesting that we don't have any sign structures in the southern passage, nor are any of the candles facing south. I'm merely pointing this out. I don't have a lick of an idea for why this would be. Most of the buildings in the southern passage are hugely decrepit, but their outlines don't match that of the sign structures, so I don't think one was ever built there. If this is the case, what is the reason no altar statue was constructed in the south? Was there a superstition, or could that direction have been associated with some sort of taboo? The singular yellow banner represents the wool and wood structures, which, after further investigation, I determined to be a campsite of sorts. It's an odd structure, the only one of its kind, and one of the only structures with wooden elements. It's a mixture of cyan, light blue, and blue wool, which is very appropriate for the aesthetics of this city. Blue dye is acquired from either cornflowers or lapis lazuli. Light blue is acquired from the blue orchid flower or combining blue dye and white dye. White dye is acquired from the lily of the valley flower or bone meal. Cyan dye is acquired by using blue dye and green dye. Green dye is acquired by smelting cactus in a furnace. When I first glanced at this structure, I was struck by how much it resembled a pillager outpost tent, or all the wool that's used in woodland mansions. The things that point to the structure, being a camp, is the wool, which is typically used to represent tents, whether that be in vanilla Minecraft, mods, or player builds. There are wooden pillars on the outside. I imagine this would have looked like a cabana of sorts. It also has a table and a fire, which I had to go into spectator mode to see. There's a lot of other air pockets, so other things could have been there and buried under the collapsing tent roof. What was the purpose of this camp? Especially considering it's the only structure mainly made of wool and wood. Why does it have a wall, or ruins of a wall around it? Who stayed here? Were the wooden and woolen attributes added at a later date? I find it bothersome that we can't actually date anything. The purple banner represents what I believe to be tombs or burial chambers. Its structure has a chest on an elevated platform, and under the current assumption, this would be a mantle offering for the deceased. From both structures combined, we have a collection of glowberries, leather, a disc fragment, an echo shard, iron leggings with insane enchantments, a swift sneak book, bones, coal, candles, books, the 13 music disc, and a flame enchantment book. These buildings are not particularly well preserved, yet I willfully see the warden's soul core in these arches. It aligns nicely with the idea that this is a burial chamber, because as someone dies and their body is then laid to rest here, their souls are able to travel, in a ceremonial sense, to the warden's core and linger amongst others. There are also wall cubbies here, which could have been places for more offerings, urns, or perhaps a small tomb. The light blue banner represents the temples and altars that are rampant throughout the city. The majority of these structures are exceptionally devastated, yet the first thing we see, without fail, is a sculpture of the warden's head. It's the same sculpture we see at the smaller sign structures. In these structures, we find enchanted diamond hose, soul torches, enchantment books, candles, books, armor, skulk, bottles of enchanting, name tags, the cat music disc, glowberries, potions of regeneration, disc fragments, echo shards, bones, skulk catalysts, compasses, leather, and an enchanted golden apple. There are stairs on each side leading to the upper fire altar, indicating it can be accessed from either side. It's unclear as to whether the stairs have direction. I'm implying that you would go up one side of the stairs to access one fire and vice versa, or if one served for ascension and the other for descension. In Jewish culture, fire is seen as a gift from God, and the fire on altars must be perpetual. I originally didn't understand why soul fire was chosen instead of normal fire, besides being an aesthetic choice, before I realized the connection between the concept of souls. However, we'll come back to this idea later. We also find a lot of candles, and in the downstairs there's even a skeleton skull. This could have been a sacrifice. Most of the items that we find at each site are analogous, which unfortunately does not match up with my theory that each temple was used to worship a different deity. The lime green banner classifies the only barrack/watchtower type structure that we have. It has 2 proper floors. I kept most of the skulk here to get a better idea of how the architecture is supposed to look. It seems as though there are stables here, with these walls acting as dividers. In the downstairs chest, we find books, echo shards, amethyst shards, a lot of skulk sensors, disc fragments, and diamond leggings. that have cursive vanishing and fire protection 4. In the upstairs chest, we find one disc fragment, the 13 music disc, diamond hoe with silk touch and efficiency 5, soul torches, a name tag, coal, swift sneak 2, enchantment book, a compass, and iron leggings with fire protection 3 and unbreaking 3. There's also a lot of dividers on the top floor. There's a lot of open space and a balcony for a panoramic view of both the city and what would be surrounding territory, except the great view is just a wall. There's a lot of coal, so they could have made regular torches, but they settled upon soul torches instead. And not only is this structure on the outskirts of the city, but it's also directly in front of the main entrance, meaning that it could have served as a watchtower structure. The red banner is one of our special structures, meaning it's the only one of its kind. In these chests we find armor, amethyst shards, soul torches, echo shards, bones, books, glowberries, the ward armor trim, 3 enchanted golden apples, enchantment books, potions of regeneration, diamond horse armor, 3 13 music discs, leads, and compasses. There is 2 bodies of water, a smaller tub, and a larger pool. Both have stairs, meaning these basins were built with entry in mind, and are more likely functional rather than decorative. The pair are surrounded by tiled deep slate, signifying that they serve a similar purpose. I initially thought the tub had religious aspects, as it could be a place for baptism, but after taking into account the rest of the structure, that doesn't seem possible. Below the tub is what appears to be an altar, but this may purely be a mural or decoration, not necessarily a worshipping shrine. I'm leaning towards ritualistic in the sense of a bathhouse or sauna like the Greeks and Romans had. With this in mind, the 3 rooms with the chests could serve as changing rooms or locker rooms for attendees to place their items before bathing. I wonder if there is a hierarchy for who was able to use this place, or if it was open to the entire public. Were there class differences? Were there wealth disparities? If the bones are horse bones, who is bringing their dead horse to a bathhouse? Is the armor carried around for emotional support? Why are we bringing notch apples and books to a bathhouse? They're just going to get soggy. These questions, unfortunately, we won't be able to answer. The pink banner signifies that the structure is a pillar. They normally spawn marking the western entrance. They can also spawn randomly in the place of other structures, as we see with this lone one here. After going into spectator mode, I discovered the pillar is not hollow, but that could be due to landslides and it filling up with debris if it ever was hollow. I wonder why a tower was built in this spot, perhaps to serve as a post on the eastern side. Back to the main entrance. I excavated the left side, but did not touch the right side, even though it looks bare, but that's because the skull could barely touch the right side. There's a smaller ruin towards the end. From the game perspective, the smaller ruin is a structure that spawned here by chance, but from an archaeological perspective, this tower is beyond demolished. This one pillar was being held together by skulk, and we're lucky that Minecraft blocks have their own gravity, because that would be terrifying to be under. In real life, the specific tower is one that would remain unexcavated due to the fear of collapse and cave-in. The orange structure is a true mystery building. There are 3 warden head sculptures atop the structure. It appears to be part of a hallway or a structure simply connecting 2 passages together. It has an upper and lower level as well. It must have served as a decorative bridge or entry to another building. There are no chests. And I truly can't stare at this one for too long because the light blue wool is molesting my eyes. The portal and palace complex faces west and east, with west being the main entrance. It's also the best direction in my personal humble opinion. Here's a clip of before excavation versus after. There's 2 variants of the portal, one that has a chest in the front and one that doesn't. Ours doesn't, but for archaeological purposes, we don't know that, so forget I said anything. At the front of the portal we find soul fire, soul sand, and candles, much like the light blue buildings with their fire altars and decorative candles. There are many replicas of this giant portal, perhaps portals for short people. Here we have skulk sensors integrated into the redstone circuits, meaning there was some sort of positive relationship and dynamic between the ancient builders and skulk. Again, more on that later. The inside of the palace is more of a lab with different redstone experiments than an actual palace, or a place where someone of royalty would have stayed. archaeological aspects of the ancient city, so now let's analyze and interpret it by tying this into lore and seeing what we can uncover. It's interesting that the ancient city is so populated by discs, especially since the warden is blind. Wardens use their auditory and olfactory senses to navigate. Perhaps the discs were used during ceremonies or simply as a sort of background music during quotidian rituals. Because the warden is blind, it would not be able to see dances, but it would be able to hear music and the stomping of feet. Yet there were no jukeboxes to be found in the ancient city, despite possessing the necessary ingredients to craft it. It's the same story with the recovery compass, which we will discuss later. They had the components for certain crafting recipes, but for some reason we don't have evidence of the final result ever materializing. There could have been jukeboxes, but like I mentioned earlier with the disc fragmentation, perhaps these were destroyed to dissuade playing music. We see a lot of glowberries in the chests as well, but they aren't used anywhere as a decoration, so I suspect it was a food source. Experience bottles are another frequent find, stocking most chests. In our investigation, we found a mending book and various gear with the mending enchantment already imbued. For those who are unfamiliar, experience bottles can be used to gain experience to either enchant at an enchantment table or mend your gear by throwing the bottles to the ground. We encountered a breach enchantment book and riptide enchantment book in the red bathhouse structure. The breach book can be applied to a mace, and the riptide book can be applied to a trident. Both are powerful and not easy to come by weapons. Tridents are acquired by killing a drowned that is carrying a trident. The chance of the drowned spawning is 6.25%, and on top of that, there is only an 8.5% chance that the trident itself will drop. The riptide enchantment allows the player to propel themselves forward in water or rain. The mace, on the other hand, can be obtained from trial chambers by collecting breeze rods and the heavy core. So this begs the following questions. Did trial chambers exist at the same time as ancient cities? If so, who built them? And are our ancient builders more traveled than we think? Trial chambers are usually found between Y level -40 and -20, while ancient cities are always found at Y level -51. There's definitely some overlap, but ancient cities seem to be older. Yes, they're both underground, but ancient cities are in exposed caves vulnerable to mobs, lava, and water, while trial chambers are contained and built with tuff. Tuff is essentially lithified or compacted ash, and ash is an amazing preservative. A few common examples include Pompeii or Herculaneum. Volcanic ash settles, cements, and becomes a volcaniclastic or sedimentary type rock. Ash comes from volcanoes, but we don't have volcanoes in Minecraft, unless you count the Nether as a giant one. But you're probably thinking, what about the lava? The overworld still has lava. And I'd tell you you're right and give you a pat on the head with a cookie because the overworld does still have lava. But lava doesn't become tough. Lava becomes extrusive igneous rocks like basalt or andesite. They're formed from the rapid cooling of lava and magma. Andesite can be found in the overworld while basalt can be found in the Nether. This also means that the Nether was, in fact, cold, or at least colder than it is now, for lava to have cooled enough to form basalt. In the real world, basalt becomes a fully solid rock around 800 degrees Celsius or 1,472 degrees Fahrenheit, and lava is usually around 1,000 to 1,200 degrees Celsius or 1,832 to 2,192 degrees Fahrenheit. And I saw somewhere that you can make basalt in basalt farms with lava, soul sand, and blue ice, so I tried that, and yeah, it didn't work. We know that water cannot last in the Nether, as it evaporates immediately, and water can evaporate at any temperature above freezing, but the temperature that it evaporates at immediately is its boiling point, so either 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. The Nether is obviously not realistically modeled, because due to being enclosed and brimming with lava, it would most likely be around 100 to 600 degrees Celsius, or 212 to 1,112 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just a base estimation for what the real temperature is, though. The only reason Steve, Alex, and other players can survive is because Minecraft is a game that's heavily merged with magic. Obviously, it would be hotter near the lava lakes and pockets, making the basalt deltas and nether wastes some of the hottest biomes. The Soul Sand Valley would probably be one of the cooler biomes, especially since gas spawned there, but more on that later. We're also able to come to the consensus that the Minecraft world, despite being blocks and pixels, is round. How else could such heat, lava, and magma form in such great amounts if the Nether was not a sort of core, like Earth's inner and outer core? The only way the Nether can be 8 times smaller than the overworld is if it is wrapped around the inside of the overworld in a spherical shape. The Nether, by definition, is an infernal or hellish region lying below the Earth's surface. I can't believe all of that was initiated from a Breach enchantment book. The first time I regarded this city, I was so baffled as to how the ancient builders acquired soul sand, as there was no evidence of nether portals or them knowing how to craft one. Once I opened my eyes and used them, I saw more artifacts I had glazed over. Light blue wool, bones, potions of regeneration, soul torches, blast protection, and fire protection. Simply put, all these objects are either derived from the nether or are useful there. As I mentioned earlier, light blue wool is crafted from blue dye and white dye. White dye can be crafted from bone meal. Bone meal can be obtained from the bone block fossils that are found in the nether. Unfortunately, bone blocks directly become bone meal, skipping the bone stage, yet lots of bones can still be found in ancient city chests or be dropped from skeletons. From an archaeological standpoint, we might interpret these bones to be an ancient person or perhaps an animal like a horse. This goes back to the red structure, the sauna or bathhouse. Within one of the chests, we found diamond horse armor, leads, and bones, which in this case I'm going to boldly assume they're horse bones, taking into consideration the other artifacts in the chest. What could this be if not something ceremonial like a burial or a sacrifice? Because the armor is diamond, the horse most likely belonged to someone of high power, whether that be a soldier or simply a citizen with money or authority. Perhaps horses were held in high regard as a being and revered. This can go two ways. Either the revered animal is protected, or opposingly, it's used as a sacrifice. It'd be difficult to keep a horse underground as they require vegetation to feed and their droppings are not exactly subtle. If a horse had died, it would have ended up becoming part of the skulk, but more on that later. Potions of regeneration are created by adding a gas tier to an awkward potion in a brewing stand. Ghasts are nether mobs. A brewing stand requires blaze rods to build and blaze powder to operate. These are acquired from blazes at nether fortresses. You can't trade potions of regeneration with piglins, you can only get fire potions and splash fire potions from them. This means these potions were concocted by the ancient builders. And yet, what's the purpose of the potion of regeneration? It restores player health over time, healing 1 heart every 2.5 seconds, and players typically make use of this when fighting boss mobs like the Wither or Ender Dragon. According to some theories, the reason the ancient builders escaped underground was to escape the Wither, the creature they had made to replace their gods. Were they still trying to come up with ways to face their past, or were the potions created to fight their future? Yet, the Warden is not considered a boss mob, but a high-risk, low-reward hostile mob. A quick side tangent to the ghast tier. Taking into consideration the latest update, ghasts are naturally water organisms. They require water to be revived in order to become happy ghasts. I've seen other theories and videos where people say that the nether ghast cry is their only source of liquid, yet crying would cause them to dehydrate, but those are the sounds we hear. It's contradictory because they cry to hydrate themselves, but crying dehydrates you. Or perhaps they were dragged into the nether by the ancient people, and that's why they cry. Across various cultures, water represents fertility, creation, and healing, aka regeneration. So the tiers of ghast must possess these qualities and are used to preserve their children, the future happy ghasts. This also leads them to being exploited by builders and players who wish to make potions of regeneration. Normal nether ghasts, or unhappy ghasts, must maintain a system that's in a perpetual state of dehydration, because even when they're brought back into the overworld for certain achievements, they're not able to process water. Ghasts also only attack players, meaning they're like pigeons, crows, or ravens in that they can recognize faces, and they understand the evil that players are to them. This makes sense because they were victimized for their tears. I don't engage with short-form content often, but I came across this short the other day of a woman reviving a dead shrimp. It's in the description if you have any interest, and I recommend watching because it's an intriguing video. She had a dry, shriveled, preserved, pregnant shrimp that she was able to revive and bring back to life with water, much like the concept of the dried ghast. It seems that dried ghasts are found at the fossils of their dead mothers, and they're waiting for revitalization, just like the shrunken shrimp. Nevertheless, this is further evidence that the people of this city engaged in nether travel, despite the lack of nether portals and obsidian. You could make the argument that the portals were created in underground lava lakes, but got destroyed. So why do we not see the shambles like the other ruined portals? The only answer is that they nether traveled before going into hiding. After creating Skulk, an artificial substance with their understanding of souls, the ancient builders integrated the material into their everyday lives. Once Skulk was created, it possessed the capacity to control itself and blossom into sensors, shriekers, and catalysts by feeding on souls of the fallen. The catalyst for the development of the Swift Sneak enchantment would be the Skulk, not the arrival of the Warden. The Shriekers were rendered useless as Wardens didn't appear until they were granted access from the portal. The entire job of the Skulk Shrieker is to trigger the arrival of the Warden. Skulk is no longer craftable except for the calibrated Skulk sensor, which is used with redstone. Most likely, beyond the portal, there is Skulk and its variants, maybe even more variants than the ones we are familiar with. However, this Skulk must be native unless builders from that dimension existed. One thing I am stuck on is how the construction of this portal was feasible. Reinforced deep slate is unobtainable in survival, meaning it's not a block modern builders can procure, unless, like the Skulk, it came from a recipe lost with time. After much pondering, I haven't the slightest idea as to what lit the portal. I seriously doubt it was a series of redstone circuits. That strikes me as so bizarre in comparison. My theory is that a soul core must be released, namely someone dying or bottles of enchantment being thrown. What must simply be a massive coincidence, if we are going with the chronological time frame of the city and portal being built before the Warden comes through the portal, is how there's so many aspects of the Warden in the city. The portal, the altars, the statues, the arches. Was it simply luck that their structures resemble the head and soul core of the Warden, or were those augmentations after the discovery? Why would you build something to honor something that only brings harm to you and your people? Why would you build at all when that's everything it needs to hear you? Why would you worship a creature like that? So no, I think those mirroring elements were built during the overall construction of the city. Yet I'm highly skeptical and it doesn't make any sense. I don't believe in coincidences this big, and especially not in Minecraft. Everything they've done so far is purposeful. So how, if the Warden came after the construction, does the city look like the Warden? Did they somehow create an artificial Warden, like a fake Warden that was summoned by the Shriekers? Maybe they were never able to light the portal at all, and the Warden was their own creation that destroyed them. The Warden's soul core is something that deserves attention. One of this powerful creature's strongest attacks is its sonic blast. The Warden shoots overwhelming shockwaves from its soul core at its target. Are the souls angry, or does the Warden merely have absolute control and influence over them? In one of the chests, we encountered a flame enchantment book. This can be attached to a bow, which is an excellent strategy for shooting the Warden from a distance. However, Wardens are actually immune to flame, rendering this enchantment useless unless it's applied for another purpose. I assume echo shards are related to Skulk in some way, as they're a synthetic material that originate from the ancient cities and are heavily connected to souls. Echo shards can be combined with a compass to form the recovery compass, which allows players in survival to track their last death location or recover their items. Again, here's the idea of souls. The recovery compass doesn't actually track the death location, but rather the location of the experience or the soul of the player. Echo shards are another item currently uncraftable, but I imagine the ancient builders most likely mixed Skulk with amethyst shards. Not only do echo shards resemble the shape of the amethyst shard, but they share the same coloring as Skulk, leading me to believe it's the so-called offspring of the two. We can find amethyst shards in chests throughout the city, and geodes are quite common. They may even spawn within the city boundaries. Amethyst shards are used to craft with Skulk sensors to create calibrated Skulk sensors, which listen to frequencies based on the redstone signal it receives. Amethyst shards, redstone, and Skulk are all excessively integrated and intermingled. Echo shards, compasses, and amethyst shards are ubiquitous in the city. Soul sand and soul torches are only obtainable through nether access. Soul sand is sand infused with lost or wandering souls, and soul torches are torches created with soul sand. Essentially, they're the light of lost souls. Both of these items are quite common through the ancient city, with a lot of soul fires being prevalent at both smaller altars like the light blue buildings or underneath the portal. Returning to what I said previously in regards to the portal being lit via the use of souls, perhaps the redstone acts as a conduit that harnesses the lost souls of the soul sand and enables them to be activated through the fires into the portal, thus lighting it. It's a long shot, but I believe it to be somewhat of a possibility. On a side note, soul sand is used to grow netherwort, which is the primary ingredient necessary for creating potions, such as the regeneration potion we discussed earlier. One last thing while we're still on the topic of souls. Lapis lazuli. Not only can you use lapis lazuli as blue dye, but it serves as fuel or an energy conduit for enchanting gear. You can trade lapis lazuli with the cleric villager as well. Coming back to reality for a moment. Lapis lazuli has been a part of human history for nearly 7,000 years. It has always been a huge part of jewelry, especially to show off its rich color. In regards to spirituality, it's associated with the third eye or throat chakras, which relate to enlightenment, truth, and communication. So even though lapis lazuli is not made from souls, it has a clear relation to one through spiritual ideology. One could go as far as to say that players sell their souls in order to upgrade their gear by enchanting. If you didn't notice, the so-called repairs or additions to the city happen to be done with dark oak wood variants and wool. Where can you find both of these items? Woodland mansions. Woodland mansions are found in dark oak forests, are constructed from the dark oak material, and contain numerous wool ornamentations and embellishments. Most likely, the ancient people also encountered evokers and totems of undying. Evokers have two attacks. One summons fangs, and the other summons vexes. Vexes are essentially the evil version of an allay. Evokers utilize magic to defend themselves and attack enemies, and allays are actually bred through asexual reproduction with an amethyst shard and music playing from a jukebox. A lot of Minecraft revolves around this idea of magic for both life and death in all three current dimensions: the overworld, the nether, and the end. In the overworld, we encounter witches, skulk, enchanting, beacons, and conduits. How did witches, who are capable of brewing potions, throwing harming potions at players, and utilizing health potions for herself and her allies, come across all those ingredients? Did she venture into the nether, or steal from those who did? In the nether, the concept of magic is more tangible in terms of alchemy, brewing ingredients, and souls. The end's magic is a bit more straightforward. We have the Ender Dragon, which can kill players with her magic breath, and the Endermen, which have powers of teleportation and resemble the Ender Dragon in appearance. There are 10 end crystals that provide healing power to the dragon, but these aren't crystals like amethyst or echo shards. The recipe is glass, 1 eye of ender, and 1 gas tier. I'll say that louder for the people in the back. 1 gas tier. It's safe to say that the gas are akin to magic. All three dimensions come together when brewing potions, as you can procure ingredients from all of them. Taking all of this into consideration, we can determine that the ancient residents of the city participated in nether travel and overworld exploration prior to fleeing to the depths. There's still a lot of questions to ponder on, like how long were these people underground? Did they evolve, and what did that look like? Did they ever view the Warden as a sort of deity like the Wither they had sought to replace their gods? But this video is getting long, and until more information is released, the best we can do is speculate. In the beginning, I was under the assumption that the skulk is what took over the city at its end, but rather I think it was an integral part of the city and how the inhabitants functioned. I wanted this video to be what the ancient city reveals about the ancient city, but it's more like what the ancient city reveals about Minecraft, which, truthfully, is far more intriguing. In conclusion, the citizens of these ancient underground cities were evolved or mutated humans who could survive unbearable nether temperatures, craft objects unobtainable today, and thrive in many different environmental conditions. Perhaps they weren't human at all. Potentially, they ended up binding with the skulk and becoming something unimaginable. These people were strong, most likely a nocturnal, at least towards the end of their underground evolution, innovative, and adventurous. They built a magnificent city with a history investigators can barely conceive of. Like the city, the people and its secrets stay buried beneath centuries of mystery.